Hi guys, Mine the Wild, and that's the name of the channel. My name is Mads, of course. I'm going to try to work with the spirit of MDMA. I'm out here in the woods. Um, my story with the MDMA, I think, is perhaps a fairly regular one. I did it the first time 21 years ago, summer in 2022. I did an ecstasy tablet. And then, of course, I was kind of fascinated by it, my 17-year-old self. And then in 20 years ago, a summer, me and the guys did a lot of MDMA, I think, and in that winter too. And then everybody just hit that depression where it was everything turned very gray and dull. And ever since then, I've probably done it like 10 times or something. So I did it a few weeks back where it sort of presented itself and aligned itself, and I had the inclination to all of the sudden do it. It's very easy to come by here, but I just kind of had the impulse that it wanted something for me, and I'll share more about what's going on in my life, but connected to some hard emotional experiences. It kind of just turned up on the exact day I needed it. And I haven't done MDMA since late 2018, I think, over 4 years. So it was interesting getting reacquainted with it. I actually thought I'd never do central nervous stimulants again. But it did seem to simply, do that very emotional therapeutic thing that it can, where it also offers a lot of self-compassion. It release emotional surplus that can shift and angle things in a different perspective. So I think it is, of course, a very interesting substance that seems to have a lot of beneficial applications if it's, in relation to trauma treatment in general, and emotional healing. It seems to be very potent. And of course, if you ever been into raving, that it also has some potential as the funny club drug, right? But I think, like most people, it tends to have, at least for me, a lot of emotional after effects, like emotional openings that seem a little too intense and can be hard to accommodate. And with that, I feel that the term suicide, Blue Monday and Suicide Tuesday, and all that stuff, that's very much connected to the rave and the classic ecstasy culture, probably also misinterprets, which is a point about these drugs, misinterprets the fact that they are, of course, potential oscillations. So what they allow us to do is to access a range that's both, let's say, more ecstatic, but also more despondent, more potential of more despair, and that's actually a part of the range. So the hangover is very much not just like some negative addendum to the alcohol experience you can't get rid of. It's a part of losing yourself in the drunkenness that is returning also to that kind of state. And I think, with alcohol, it's often kind of easy for and that's again chicken and the egg, but the shame-based culture around here that's also connected to Christianity, that thing where it's like you get to be really ashamed about how much you let yourself go, and so those oscillations seem to fit the Western mind fairly well. But you could, of course, also argue that it's because alcohol produces this balance between really misbehavior and then coming back to your senses, and then waking up. And I think, unlike, for instance, let's say alcohol, cocaine, methamphetamine, with which I fortunately have very, very little experience, but like these drugs that very much pendulate between, let's say, like a very egoic, ecstatic state, and these pits of despair and dissolution and despondency. I think MDMA really has the potential to be something where the emotional shift is gently integrated, and so the ecstasy, of course, the state of rapture, you can't necessarily keep that, but you can actually keep the emotional surplus. And of course, MDMA, at least in my own case, makes me very little ego oriented. Like, I remember tripping with people and having a lot of those experiences of being like, well, how can I be nice to people? Like, what can I do? And then, like, that weird, incredible empathy you experience where it's like, oh, I'm doing something nice for them and they're appreciating it, and I'm getting that back, and in that way, of course, that is spreading and cultivating the love. And I'm sure if you're familiar with the drug, that's part of the experience that you probably also had with it, and why it is, of course, a very, very interesting experience for us humans to have access to. So without me getting on a further ecstasy rant here, let me shift to the spirit itself and see what it has to teach us about its energy and why it has come to the planet. I'll just know that you may know that MDMA was one of these drugs that was kind of discovered in the German pharmaceutical industry, I think somewhere in the mid-30s perhaps. And then it was rediscovered with a simpler way of synthesis by Alexander Shulgin, who was a very famous chemist and pioneer for psychedelics, and who developed MDMA and kind of spread it to the world along with 2CB and other substances. So it's kind of connected also to like the California illumination, that strange thing that spread out of Berkeley and other places, and began to change the world from the 60s onwards. So let's hear what it has to say, and much love to you out there. Hi there, sweet one. Hi there. My deepest love to you, or rather, my deep gratitude and appreciation for the love that you let me share in by bringing forward this tenderness in you. See, there is a resonance field within human experience, and there needed to be a slight opening, a slight vulnerability, a reopening to tenderness before you could begin to connect to my being. And therefore you also find that I am much related to these stages of human discovery, where you intuit that the age of Aquarius is upon you, and the time to discover the inner depths of human reality and the deep, vast oceans of the human heart. This is the task that you are set before you as a species and as sentient beings that walk this planet. So what I come forward to do is a very clear dissolution of the boundaries that hold you together. And I access this through a physical point. So not only will you find that I express myself as a physical being, as a substance that you access through synthetic means, a crystal, you could call me. Know that crystals, also understanding the form I'm coming through, are indeed energy grids. the energy grid that I connect to. It is the energy grid of loving release within the human body. And so you may find that it is connected to the emotions of satiation, of being satisfied, to the senses of orgasm, and of being stirred into pleasant and connected release. Because on the physical level where I access you, it is those tensions that I seek to dissolve. It is those patterns that I access and that I process your condition through. It is through these pathways that you are then allowed to access the states that might be then accessible to you. So again, I come in loving servitude. I come as a servant to that emotional body of yours, which finds itself pent up often in the prison of physical tension, in the prison of physical retention, where you hold together, where you do not let loose. And therefore you also intuit correctly that what I connect you to is a state of ecstasy, which means that you are standing higher, you are standing elevated, you are standing connected. And these states, you often attain them and you often express them through means of dance, for instance, or through different artistic means of communication, because know as overpouring souls, as overpouring emotional bodies, this is what you do. But it is important to understand that when you create these spaces, the more otherness you load them with, the less I will be able to integrate and reset this configuration in your body. That is, if you are in a space where you are greatly transported away from yourself, you will find that I can bring you to, say, greater outsides of experience, but it becomes much, much harder for you to bring these outsides of experience back integrating into your physical body. You may notice that the physical body is actually the densest medium. And so whereas you may read something, come across new information, have an insight, or generate a new thought, and your mind changes about something, your body may have a lot of reconfigurations, and yet it is stuck in the same movement patterns. It is held in the same tension in the physical reality it returns to. So the more you are actually integrating this emotional state into configurations, realities that you want to expand in, actively participating in them as an emotional being, understanding that emotion is in its nature limitless and exists in connection, though this can be connection both to animals, plants, minerals. Well, this means that this connection, it is helpful for you to cultivate by also setting an intention, like having the intention of not only what will I move into or what will I become confronted with, what will I see in the experience itself, but as our dear beloved human friend here was pointing out, how will life afterwards also play out? What is the roller coaster or the elevator span that I am inviting, and how will I be able to more greatly transport my emotions to the level that they need to be at my level of understanding, at my level of emotional integration, at my level of physical expression. So any type of physicality, dancing, movement of your body, sexual activities, you will find that many of these things are invited, encouraged by our energy, my energy. Exactly, because it is this embodiment that needs to be contained within you. It needs to be allowed to be reconfigured. And there is no more homely place than your body. So if you allow yourself to be drawn home into your body and set this intention, and you allow yourself to have this emotion embodied, set this intention for your further progress, also to take the embodiment down into the sensitivities of the seesaw that we are riding, then know that we will greatly serve you, and we will allow for this emotional expansion to stay with you, extending our love, our deepest love, letting you know that we have joined you at a time where we are expedient in your climb towards these natural endemic states of ecstasy that exist in higher vibrational being. We greet you farewell with the deepest love, compassion, participation, integration, transformation, restoration, healing, blessing, and insight, with fun, with laughter, with joyful tremors. Farewell, sweet humans. I, I hope that that served you. And of course, one of the reasons I think it's so interesting as a channeler to connect to the spirits these ways is also that I get to experience them as and a pure energy signature. And I don't know if you noticed, but I almost teared up just before kind of connecting to the energy, because it had that sense. I could kind of tell it just began moving blocks in my emotional body simply by holding the energy. So I hope some of that ecstasy was transferred to you in this manner as well. And I wish you much love out there.